Hello, my name is Matthew Eckelberg, and this is my video presentation for assignment 3.3, Market Recognition. The purpose of this assignment is to use advanced data mining techniques to select relevant features, demonstrate statistical concepts and software tools used to identify patterns, determine correlating factors and differentiate between spatial, temporal, and coincidental associations, value data monetarily and determine if the value outweighs the cost, make effective decisions based on observed patterns, and create forecasts based on trend analysis. A quick overview on what we're going to talk about today. First, an introduction, then an analysis and indicators of the company. I'm going to take a look at some Bollinger Bands that I've created. Then the decision on whether to buy, sell, or hold. And then a peek into my magic crystal ball for a future stock forecasting. And of course, a summary. So the company under the microscope today is Tencent Holdings. Tencent Holdings is a Chinese company offering worldwide services and are number 74 on Forbes Global 2000 list. They are an investment holdings company dealing in the internet and mobile value added services, online advertising, and e-commerce transactions. They have made a considerable influence and impact on the video game industry, being primary stakeholders of Epic Games, developer of the critically acclaimed title Fortnite, as well as primary owner of Riot Games, who are responsible for League of Legends, and also have investments in Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard. Additionally, Tencent has investments in companies like Tesla, Snapchat, and many others. Now for a quick overall analysis and some indicators for Tencent Holdings. All of the gathered financial information has been gathered from MSN.com, NASDAQ, Finance.Yahoo, and Fool.com, so some credible sources. What you're looking at here is a visual created in Power BI. The table on the left is was extracted from Yahoo.financials.com, and it is a nice summary of daily closeouts, openings, highs, lows, close, adjusted close, and volume for each day. Monday, April 27th is tomorrow, so what you're looking at are the most recent closeout numbers that posted, Friday close of business. So, looking into this, Tencent Holdings, that's their name. Some of their stats for the last day that they closed. What are some of the indicators on why they're succeeding? Well, they are the world's largest game company. They deal business, as I mentioned, in online gaming. That's their main cash cow. Cloud computing, they do offer some services there. And social media, they are responsible for the app WeChat, which is wildly popular in China, and much more. They have investments and or own, Epic Games, Riot Games, Blizzard, Activision, Tesla. They have a 5% stake in Snapchat. So, and these are just some of the bigger names. They have plenty of investments. They are an investment holdings company, so that would make sense. And here's just a nice screenshot from, where did I get this? MSN.com. Just the most daily closeout. We have some nice information there. The PE ratio, dividend days range, shares outstanding, and market cap. So as we can see, Tencent Holdings is a very healthy company with a lot of potential here, and certainly very tempting to go ahead and buy, but we're going to double check this with some additional data analysis. All right, taking a look at Bollinger Bands now. These visuals were created in Excel. The data sets examined span the last 6 months, ranging from April 26 to November 26, 2019. The data points looked at were the figures at close, simple moving average, standard deviation, upper band, and lower band. So if we look at the visual on the right, we can see that those are the bands when looking at the average, hence the reason they're so perfectly in the middle. And on the left, that is the figures at close, the actual data. So we can see that they're have been plenty of opportunities for buying in the past 6 months. When we look at December, beginning of February, and then in mid-March. And we're still kind of seeing some of that even as a few days ago. There's really only one highly noticeable moment to, or blatantly obvious rather, to sell, and that is when it spiked up at the beginning of March. Perhaps that has something to do with the current pandemic going on, the situation that could require further analysis. But with all this information taken into account, this will help us decide whether to buy, hold, or sell here in our next slide. All right, taking a look at whether to buy, sell, or hold stock in Tencent Holdings. I conducted some analysis on some credible websites, Zacks, StockChase, StockInvest, and Fool, all with their own opinions on whether you should buy, sell, or hold. So we're going to take a look at what they have to say. First thing to note is that Tencent Holdings is expected to grow their earnings by 22%. Many analysts have said if you're looking for a good under-the-radar growth stock, Tencent Holdings is a good one at that. It is not a capstone piece for your portfolio, such as Amazon, but it is something that the growth is there and it's worth investing in. When you look at WeChat alone, which is Tencent Holdings' social media app, they have a 1 billion monthly user base in China. And these users are using it for their daily necessities, payment, chat, and more. Zacks rank gave it a 3, with 1 being a strong buy, 2 being a buy, 3 being a hold, 4 sell, and 5 strong sell. It comes in at a 3. He's recommending that you hold. The decision, being that hold off, as we saw in those Bollinger Bands. We're not quite at the absolute lower band or dipping beneath it. We were about a week ago. Would have been a strong buy, in my opinion. But many, Zacks, Stock Forecast, Fool, are all saying hold off. So take that, with a grain of salt. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to buy, in my opinion. Because we have seen the Bollinger Bands. We do know that they're expected to grow by 22%. But if we're not in a hurry, maybe we hold for at least a few more weeks and see kind of how the volatility affects things, and then who knows, maybe in a week or two we'll get a another strong buy period. All right, time to look at the magic crystal ball at the future stock forecasting. So what we have here is a graph of the Tencent Holdings price versus S&P 500 from the past 10 years. So we can see that it was relatively steady growth all the way to January or end of first quarter 2017, and then they really took off. They spiked all the way. They started off 2018 really strong, and then what we're assuming has happened is that they got hit by some of the tariffs pretty hard and needed to sell off some stock. So all these things factor into our decision. So we know that there's expected growth. We touched on that in the last slide. We can see that they were affected by the tariffs, but they've since recovered, bounced up in 2019, and they seem to be doing all right. Relatively unaffected by the pandemic. We looked at their Bollinger Bands, we looked at their index, and I mean the data analysis that goes with that, and relatively unaffected. They are an internet service provider, or internet services provider rather. So that is the one industry that has been, probably booming around the world because it's the only thing that's open. The population of China, equals consistency and a nice, solid user base, and also the diverse revenue stream is another great plus. When you look at the plethora of offerings such as cloud computing, video games, music, social media, automobile investments, and more. So if we look at this, this is an interactive graph on the computer. Unfortunately, it's not on the PowerPoint. This goes all the way back to January 27th, beginning of this year, and we can see that things have kind of been a wild ride. So things were relatively tame until March 11th is when you see that large swoon in the middle of the screen there, with all this coronavirus craziness kind of going on. But they've since been picking things back up, and I suspect they will continue to do so without a doubt, just because of the nature of their industry, the nature of their work, and the fact that they've proven to be unaffected thus far. There's no reason we should be led to believe anything different due to this unprecedented event. Tencent Holdings stock will continue to grow. So, summarizing what we talked about today, we had a quick introduction, analysis and indicators, Bollinger Bands, buy, sell, or hold, looked at future stock forecasting, and summary. My name is Matthew Eckelberg. Thank you for watching my presentation.